Well, I got a message yesterday from the arcade attendant at the arcade that the X-Men monitor did not come on when they turned everything on yesterday. So I went up there and checked it out, and sure enough, the chassis was dead. And this is what we have here. So this came out of our X-Men cabinet at the arcade. Now, this has previously been rebuilt. It's been running fine for a while, and everything's been great. But, you know, why would it not turn on? Well, you know, okay, first thing you check is to make sure the fuse isn't blown. Well, in this case, the fuse is not blown. And I can find nothing wrong with this except for one thing that I've never detailed or shown or talked about on the channel here. And when I go through all these 7000s and show you what to check, what they should read, and all that stuff like that, all the components and things when they're dead, I don't really think I ever talked about this one component. And if this component is failed or has failed or is bad, then you'll have no horizontal drive, and it'll mimic a blown fuse. Where what this is doing is this is completely, totally, utterly dead. You give it voltage and it hit the switch and it does nothing. It's the same thing as if, let's say, if you were to take the fuse out of the chassis and turned it on, it does nothing. There's no electrical noises, there's no signs of energization, there's no life, no nothing. So the first thing you think is, okay, well, the fuse is blown. Well, actually, the fuse is not blown. If we grab our meter here, go to continuity, and we touch our fuse together, the fuse is fine. We put it back in the chassis, and we touch our holders here, it's fine. So why would the chassis be completely, totally, utterly dead if the fuse is good? Well, there's any number of problems in the power circuit that could cause that. And just for a review here, quick minute or two review, let's go over, in case you're new to the channel or you haven't seen the other K7000 dead videos, which I'll link the playlist down below, and this will be added to that playlist. We'll go ahead and go over the things that can cause this to be dead if we have this situation. So first thing we'll do is start out with R103 over here. R103, if it's open, you'll have no power at all, and it'll be like it'll be, well, dead. So you should have 3 ohms of resistance, give or take, across these two pads right here. The resistor itself is 2.7 ohms. So if we touch these 2 points here, we get 2.8. So R103 is good. The next step down the road are the rectifier diodes, but you can actually avoid reading those because if you read R104 here, it's supposed to be 15 ohms. If it reads 15 ohms, then your rectifier diodes are good. If this reads like 5 ohms, then you have a shorted rectifier diode. So the easiest thing to do is to just read R104. If it reads 15 ohms, then we know all of our rectifier diodes are fine. Rectifier diodes. And we get 15.3. So those diodes and R104 are fine. Next step down the road is R101, this big beefy guy right here that's been replaced because the original one burned up. We should get about 4.5 to 5 k ohm. It's a 6.5 k ohm resistor, but in circuit, because of the load on it, it's about 4.5 to 5 k is what we're looking for. And we get 4.5, 6, 7, 8, so that's fine. R88 right here should be 1.8 k, and we get 1.797. R89 should be 3.9 k, and we get 3.846, close enough. R97 should be 270 ohms, and we get 275, that's good. R96 right here should be 1.8 also, just like R88, and we get 1.761, that's good. So those resistors are all fine. Next, we want to check our C38 width cap, this blue guy right there. You're just checking to make sure it's not shorted. You're not worried about what it reads. You're just checking to make sure it's not shorted. And that's these two pads here. We get 1.4 mega ohms, so that's fine. Next, we'll check our horizontal output transistor, this guy right there. And we're checking to make sure it's not shorted. In diode mode, we should get a 0.47, 0.48 voltage drop from the center lead negative to each outer leg. And we get 4.8 and, 0.48 and 0.48. So HOT is not shorted. Now we're checking the critical safety cap, and this is a version of the 7000 that has 2 individual brown ones right in there. And to check those, you're checking to make sure those aren't shorted, which they shouldn't be if the HOT is not shorted. So the way you check those is negative on the same trace here, and we'll go diagonal. So negative to over here is 0.47, and negative to over here is 0.48. So that's what you should read. You should get a 0.47-ish voltage drop, just like the HOT. So those are okay. D18 is a diode in here right in front of the C38 cap. That should be 0.48 voltage drop also. You read it like this. 0.472, close enough. And the last thing to check would be our voltage regulator. Now the easiest way to test that is to just go to ohms, and you should get 180 ohms across the V plus resistor, and we get 181. So that's good. If we got, for instance, 0, then you know your voltage regulator is shorted. Now this doesn't mean our voltage regulator is good, it just means that it's not shorted. So there we go. Now you can also go to pins 3 and 4 in diode mode. Pin 3 negative, pin 4 positive, and you get, oh, I was touching the same lead as pin 3, so 0.15, instead of getting the 0.47-ish voltage drop, you get 0.15, and that's because we're reading through the resistor. So on this tall skinny one, it's negative on 3, positive on 4 on diode mode, you should get 0.15 voltage drop. You can also just go right to the resistor like so, and you get 0.15 voltage drop. So voltage regulator is not bad. So if all of our power components are good, why is this completely dead? Well, if the horizontal drive transformer is not getting in the proper voltage, it's not going to reach the HOT until the HOT to turn on. So if the HOT is not being told to turn on by the drive transformer, then you're not going to have any power whatsoever. So what controls the voltage from the power section to the transformer to the HOT? Well, it's this little guy right in here, Q10. I have not talked about this, I don't recall. This little transistor right there, Q10. Now, if that is bad, you won't have any, not high voltage, but you won't have any horizontal drive. So if we check Q10, that is this guy here. Looks like it's already been worked in the past. A part of the pad's missing, but let's see here. So diode mode with red lead on the left leg, you should get a 0.6-ish voltage drop. I think it's like 0.610 and 0.64. So you should get 0.61 or so to the middle leg. 0.62, okay. Oh, you can't see, hold on. 0.62, and we should get roughly the same reading on the outside leg. And we don't. We get 1.2, 1.3. We should get this reading right here on the middle leg and the outer leg when reading in this direction, like red on the left side and the negative to middle, negative to right. We should get 0.6 to each leg there. So there's the middle. The right one should be the same, and it's not. It's 0.13. I just dropped. So something is not right there. Now, is it something on the circuitry, on the traces that's bringing it down, or is it just the transistor itself? Well, in my experience, it's usually the transistor itself. So this transistor is bad, and it's not letting the drive transformer get its voltage to turn on the HOT. I think I've got that right, but let's go ahead and extract that transistor and test it in the tester. And I'm curious if it comes up as a transistor or if it comes up as a diode. All right, so that's out. Let's go ahead and clean the legs out here, because if this comes up as a transistor or it comes up as good, we'll have to start trying to figure out what else is bad on the chassis. And I don't recall ever covering this transistor before, because I can probably count on one hand in the last, let's say 19 years I've been working on these things. I'd say I can count on one hand the number of times this has been bad, but this very well could be one of those times. So let's put this in the tester here and fire it up. Oh, close that. Okay, we're falling out there. There we go. All right. So what's it going to be? Diode. Well, there you go. Bad Q10. Let's make sure we got this in there the other way. There we go. And diode. Turn it around again and diode. There you go. Bad Q10 will keep your K7000 from powering up. Now the question is, do I have a parts chassis, right on top here, that I can steal one from right there, and gonna have to get that guy out of there. There we go. That was easy. There we go. Got a replacement. Now if we put this one in the tester. There we go. What's this one going to read? Diode? What in the... Is this one bad too? That can't possibly be right. What am I doing here? There we go. Did I not have... Let's try it on the other side here. Maybe I wasn't getting a good connection on there. There we go. Transistor. Flip it around. Transistor. Okay. Well, that makes me wonder about this one now. Let's try it on the opposite side, because I did these here, and it looks like they're not closing all the way, quite all the way. Let's try it on this side. Yeah, diode. Okay, so good. Okay. Diode. So this is definitely bad. Let's grab the one we just tested and try it again. Transistor. Yep. Okay. So definitely faulty. So let's get this guy in there, and then we'll get it on a tube and fire it up, assuming this reads properly now. Make sure we get it in there the right direction, and I didn't. Just don't want to put it in backwards. There's a silk screen on here that shows you which way it goes in. So there we go. And we'll solder this in here, just like so. So now we can test it and see if it reads our 0.6 to each side now. So again, diode mode and red lead on the, or positive lead on the left leg. We should get 0.6 to the middle. It's probably still cooling down, but 0.6, and the outside should be 0.6 also. There you go, 0.6. So, yep, I'll bet you now it fires right up. Bad Q10. So let's get it, let's clean it first. Real quick here. Okay, let's get it on a tube now and cross our fingers, because we've checked everything else in the power circuit that would keep it from powering on, and that's the only component that we found that was bad. So, yep, this will absolutely keep the horizontal drive from functioning. So let that be known. If you've never come across that problem or seen it before, there you go. All right, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. It still could be bad, but at least we're making progress towards a solution. So let's get on a tube and see if that was our only problem or if there's something else wrong here. All right, so we're all hooked back up on a tube. We got our anode, neck, yoke, ground, power, video remote, the Critical 7 ready to go. And yeah, it should power up now. We had that faulty Q10. Replacement Q10's installed. Let's see what happens. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I forgot. We're running Mortal Kombat 2. I always count to 3 and then go, oh, wait a minute, sorry. I forgot to mention that I've got a Mortal Kombat 2 PCB here that I fixed recently. We're going to be using that as our test board. I like to use actual PCBs whenever possible instead of the test pattern generator, because it gives you a more real-world experience of what to expect with how the monitor looks. And I've talked about that in the past, but anyway, so we're going to use a real board here. So okay, now that being said, here we go. Let's try 1, 2, 3. Yeah, came right on. Sounds good. What do we get? Yeah. Well, there you go. You little rascal. There you go. Q10. First time I've shown that on the channel as a problem, but I could probably count on one hand the number of times this has actually failed in 19 years, but it is kind of a last resort. But yeah, case in point, faulty Q10 can keep this from powering on. And just so we can see how good this looks, and it needs a little bit more blue. It's a little bit dark, but yeah, I'd say it looks pretty good. And it's not adjusted. It's interesting how good it's actually sitting here, considering this was on X-Men. But yeah, oh, that's better. A little bit too bright. Bring that up. Hey, all right. Looks pretty good. So yeah, faulty Q10, another K7000 resurrected. But I wanted to document this Q10 problem because I don't think I ever mentioned it or shown it on the channel before. So again, hopefully you learned something. First time for everything that I'd like to show whenever I can. Otherwise, I appreciate it. Thank you very much for watching. Like I always say, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.